Afua, you talked about soil physics or that soil structure as a house, and I like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the physics of the soil. So, I mean, the chemistry, which is like the nutrients, etc., the biology, which is all the microbes, and physics. Those are all related.
Yeah.
But why is the structure of the house so important?
Yeah, the house is very important.
I'm really excited about this analogy. I feel like it's really going to hit home with me. I'm hoping.
It will. So when you have a house, you have multiple rooms, right?
Yeah.
So imagine that you have rooms of different sizes. Right? So
I'm with you.
depending on how the minerals, the clay, the silt, the sand, they come together and attach themselves with one another, it will create that kind of rooms that you are looking for. So in a soil, you want a wide range of those rooms, which we call pores. You need a wide range of that. So we have the macropores, the mesopores, the micropores, and there are two others below, but we will leave that one out.
Thank you.
So
For now, we'll come back to them.
When you have the macropores, what that helps you to do is it helps water to move through the soil. So water movement is enhanced under gravity going down. And then in the mesopores and part of the micropores, you are able to retain the moisture against gravity. So this is where your water holding capacity is very critical.
Okay.
So if you have the meso part of it, the lower end of the mesopores, and then the micro, you retain moisture. And then when you're in the micro, the same way. But then again, if you have these houses, then it helps you to know, how much bacteria do I have in my soil versus how much fungi do I have in my soil? And we know that having bacteria and fungi influences how nutrients are going to be available to the plant. So assuming you squish the bigger rooms, then you are going to impact the fungi. They are not going to have a place to play. And when you have too many of the tiny rooms, guess what? You're going to have lots of bacteria that you may not necessarily need. So that nutrient availability is going to be compromised. So the plants will not have access to that, right? So if you have, say, nitrogen fertilizer applied to your soil, you need some kind of bacteria to convert it from there to nitrate so that your plants can access that. So if you don't have enough of that, then maybe that will not happen. But if you have too much of that, then maybe it's going to cause other detrimental effect to your crops, right? You're going to have too much, and then when you convert to nitrate, guess what is happening? If the plants don't use it, you have your N2Os going, or you have leaching to groundwater, right? So depending on the houses you have and the number of it, and the rooms you have in the house, and the number of rooms you have in the house, and the sizes of the rooms that you have, it influences a lot of the dynamics in that soil.
It sounds like almost like a village or a town now. So we have multiple houses.
Well, there you go.
With various rooms. So it takes a village. Is that a good analogy?
To grow a crop.
To grow a
Exactly.
crop.
Yeah, because that is actually what is happening in there, right?
Yeah.
The complexity of the soil is like village, lots of rooms and different dynamics there happening.
So if you drive heavy machinery all over the village, it squashes.
Yeah.
And are you a proponent of controlled traffic? So the controlled traffic is like the streets, right?
Are you continuing this analogy?
Oh, yeah,
I
let's
love it. How about municipal government? Is that what we want to get into?
The protesting and the underground villages.
Who's the reeve or the mayor?
But compaction is an issue, in that it makes it more difficult for the soil to achieve these natural objectives.
Yeah, you're right. Because when compaction occurs, all other soil processes will be compromised. It's a huge, huge problem. So when you compact your soil, of course, you are closing in on those houses, on those rooms, right? So you are crashing them.
Yeah.
So you don't want that. And if you crash those macropores, that tells you already that your water is not good soil. Right? And then you may end up having the micro ones being dominant. And if the water ends up getting into the soil, it retains it. But here's the case, those larger pores or the macro pores also help with air circulation, right? Air exchange between the atmosphere and the soil. So if that is crashed, then your soil is going to have a lot of carbon dioxide buildup because those bacteria are going to be very busy. The microbes in there are going to be very busy respiring. And if they don't have enough oxygen to take, then of course there will be too much of carbon dioxide in there. So your soil becomes anaerobic, right? Which makes it more acidic eventually. So you don't want that to happen. You don't want to crash the larger rooms in your house. You want to keep all of them open and active. Yeah.
Do you study compaction?
Yes, it's one of the key
So
areas.
if we're going to, extend a message to farmers or anybody operating heavy equipment on the land, what is your message?
It boils down to what is the moisture content of the soil whenever you are using these equipment. It could be as tiny as the hooves of a cattle, and it will still compact if the soil does not have the right moisture.
Right. So even livestock can cause
Exactly.
compaction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They do a lot of compaction,
A lot,
but
for
we forget about them because it's not a machine.
So what is the moisture
So
message?
the moisture message is that we have to conduct what we call the lower plastic limit analysis so that we can determine at what level of moisture is it safe for the soil to be able to resist the weight that is coming from the machinery. So if we determine that, then you have the value. So if you have soil moisture sensors installed in your field and you are monitoring, and you be like, okay, it's at this level, so I can go. If it's below this level, that means I can go. And the most critical part of the soil that we have to consider is about the top 30 centimeters of the soil. Because if that part of the soil is having that moisture we are talking about, it provides protection for what is under it. So if that surface soil is not strong enough, then you are going to transfer all that weight from the machinery to the deeper layers. And that is where the problem is. That weight transfer to the deeper layers. Because if you are into, say, conventional farming, for instance, you go in there and then you can till the soil and it breaks things down. So you don't necessarily see what's happening down. But then all that weight is at that depth, right? The subsoil. And it's like you don't see it. So you don't necessarily know it's compromised until you want water to move and it's not moving ever. And it just stays there.
So that deeper area that gets compacted, then you lose your water infiltration.
Yeah.
And
so the water, the top part may still infiltrate, but then it will create like a water bath for you. It will just stay there.
Right.
Because it's going to take longer for the water to keep going down. And the other disadvantage is that when you have your crops in place, the root development, we expect it to go down. But then if that sublayer is compromised, then the roots will rather go laterally instead of going down. So they end up competing for moisture in that tiny little space with the others.
And nutrients.
And nutrients, exactly.
So the houses need to have basements.
Oh, yeah. You are so right.